You are live.
Okay, great. Good morning, everyone. I'm going to bring the meeting to order of the Coastal Permit Administrator for December 12th, 2024. It is 11 a.m. Clerk, do we have a determination of notice?
All items on the agenda have been properly noticed.
Thank you. So moving right into our regular calendar, we have our first case, case 3A, which is CDP 2019-0035 for applicant Michael Malmberg. And I'm going to turn it over to the staff planner, Keith Gronendijk.
Thank you. Keith Gronendijk, planner with Mendocino County. I prepared a memo for this project. The project is to approve restoration measures for after the fact removal of dead and dying Grand Fir and Bishop pine trees for fuel reduction and creation of recreational space and installation of 1,000 feet of 7-foot tall wildlife friendly perimeter fencing. The Mendocino County Planning Department received late comments regarding the above noted project, which will require a significant amount of time to respond to. As such, staff is requesting that this item be continued to the December 18th, 2024 Coastal Permit Administrator hearing at 11 a.m.
Okay, thank you. I think it's 10 a.m.
Oh, 10?
Yeah, on that day. Yeah.
10 a.m.
Yeah. Today was 11 a.m. Next one's 10 a.m. Okay, well, I'm just going to thank you for that response. I'm assuming you're responding to the Coastal Commission comments that were received
Correct.
late. Okay, great. And then do we have anyone representing the application online that wishes to speak? Okay, go ahead and bring them over. We've brought you over. Please just state your name for the record and any comment you may have.
I'm Alicia Ives Ringstead. I'm the representative for the applicant. I don't have anything to say. I was just like letting you guys know I'm here.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Do you have any concerns with the continuation request?
What is the continuation request for? Is it just because we didn't have enough time on the docket, or is there more things that need to be added? I wasn't quite sure about that.
Sure. My understanding from staff is that it's additional time for them to be able to respond to comments that were received on December 10th from the Coastal Commission.
I don't have those comments. I just have the public comment from the neighbor.
Oh, okay. These should be posted on our website.
Okay, so, I'll get it from there.
Yeah, and if you don't find them easily, please follow up with Keith, and I'm sure he can send those over to you.
Okay, and what was the date of the reschedule?
That will be it's next week on Wednesday, December 18th at 10 a.m.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay, great. So then I do see we have a member of the public in the room here that I believe submitted a comment. And since I'm imagining you drove a long way, I am happy to entertain your comment now if you would like, or if you would like to wait for the continued hearing.
I'm happy to give it now, sure.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and then open up the public hearing, and we'll hear from the neighbor here, and you'll have 3 minutes. We have a timer running on the screen.
Okay, good. So
Please just state your name.
my name
Sorry.
is Chris Hugi, and I own Mendocino Grove, and we share the 1,000-foot line of between them and us, and that's this fence that is being proposed. We take great pride in creating a beautiful natural environment for our guests. This is Mendocino Grove. And last year we were rated by Yelp as the 6th best campground in North America. So we're rightly concerned about this fence. We think that putting 1,000-foot of fence line along our borders is not only imposing, it's intimidating, it's unattractive, and it's certainly unneighborly. As far as I know, this isn't a secret military installation. It's something which I don't really understand the point of the fence. When I asked the applicant in a phone conversation why this fence was going up, he said it was to keep our guests from wandering over to his property. And when I pressed him to ask how many times this happened, he admitted it was no more than a handful. So I wonder, why a fence if only 5 people in 7 years that they've seen wandering over? Maybe it's more. Then he said it was because of all the garbage that they were finding on their property, and we were delivering garbage or dropping garbage. But what he was forgetting is that a animal-friendly fence isn't going to stop raccoons, and that's what's basically bringing the garbage over, the raccoons. And we're doing everything we can on our site to try to stop that from happening. We have lock boxes, We advise our people to put, food in their car and so on. Then when I mentioned that, he said, well, then it's about privacy. So I said, fine, but you have 12 acres to be private. Why do you need this fence? I just don't think that a fence that long belongs in the woods. It belongs in the suburbs. And it's 7 feet high. This is a forest, and our guests come to experience it and the natural surroundings. And I think to experience sort of this big kind of wall along, even though it, you can see through it, it just doesn't seem to fit for me. We put no trespassing signs up. We've tried to keep people away. And the other thing that I find really odd about this request is that we've been on this site now, maybe neighbors, 6, 7 years. Never once have our neighbors come to us and said they've had an issue with neighbors wandering on the property. And they've not done it to me, and they've not said it to my wife, and they've not said it to any of my employees, as far as I know. Nor have they ever mentioned that there is garbage that's being deposited on their site by raccoons or by us. So the first time this has come up is because of this hearing. And so I just wonder, is it really a problem? I don't know what any of these problems are that warrants this fence. So that's what I'm concerned about. I prefer there be no fence at all.
Well, thank you for your comments. That was right at 3 minutes, so well done self-timing. Do we have any other members of the public online that wish to speak on this item? And you can indicate so by raising your hand. Okay, we're going to go ahead and bring over, we have Kelly.
Hi, Kelly Grimes. I just wanted to ask what exactly they were planning on for recreation space. 'Cause I know there's passive recreation and active recreation, and as far as I can tell, the only recreation to be allowed would be like hiking and bird watching. Can a staff member clarify that?
Well, and I think since, Kelly, since we are continuing the item, I think those are some of the topics we'll get into during the next hearing. I just wanted to give folks a chance that have taken time out of their day to come over here or participate online to be able to provide a comment, and then we'll have that continued hearing on the 18th where staff would be able to respond to those.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, and we have one other hand raised. Let's go to Ron. And please state your name for the record. Ron, we're unable to hear you if you're speaking.
Here we go. How about now?
Yes, now we can hear you.
Can you guys see me also or no?
No, just hear you.
Okay, gotcha. Real good. Well, I discuss, I'm Ron Christensen, representative for the property. I discussed with Chris the other night the fence and the fence issue. So I just wanted to address a couple of the things that he mentioned. First of all, having a fence, in my opinion, and you guys have probably all heard this, good fences make good neighbors. We've been sharing a fence line with this campground for 5 years or so now. And, I'm one person. And so the amount of times that I've seen something does not represent how many times, people have encroached, have defecated on our property, have drug things over there, have taken firewood, have, done all these things that, we want to stop. Additionally, privacy is an issue. When we're within our rights to have a fence on the property, we are going to do our best to make sure that the fence meets all requirements of the county, and also is good looking and and meets the requirements of being considered something that that would be consistent with our county and the beautification of our county. We love our property. We enjoy the privacy of our property, and we respect our neighbors and our neighbors' wishes. In fact, when I talked to Chris, I noticed that 7 feet was excessive, and so I agreed with him on a 6-foot fence the other day when we chatted. So I just feel like, good fences make good neighbors. We don't need to have future issues with the campground. It's a commercial operation. We're a private residency. And I just feel like, in keeping with what we intend for the property, which is to have a private area for us to live and to play in the forest, this is consistent with what we wish to do.
Okay. Well, thank you for your comments, and just doing one last call. Are there any other individuals online that wish to speak on this item? And seeing none, I will go ahead and grant the continuance request from staff. So this project will be heard again on December 18th, 2024 at 10 a.m. is when that hearing begins. And there won't be a new public notice sent out since it's being continued to a date certain, and I anticipate staff will have some response to comments at that time. So with that, this item is continued. Okay, and moving right along to case 3B, Coastal Development Permit CDP 2024-0008 for owner applicant Susan Hearn and our staff planner Shelby Miller.
Thank you for the introduction. Project planner Shelby Miller here. The project is in the coastal zone, and it's about 2 miles north of Fort Bragg City Center, and about 1.1 miles west of the intersection of State Route 1 and Church School Lane, located at 33201 Church School Lane in Fort Bragg. The project request is a standard coastal development permit to convert an existing 347 square foot residence to a guest cottage, construct a 2,646 square foot single family residence, and install a septic system, underground utility connections to the single family residence, and permit an existing gate that is located on Church School Lane, and also to construct a gravel driveway to the proposed single family residence. And also staff prepared a memo. Yes, we posted it online, I think, today. Basically requesting that the coastal permit administrator allow for the single family residence to actually be constructed smaller, of a smaller size, and essentially the single family residence would still be in the same footprint as what is proposed that I stated earlier. It will be like a substantial conformance, and I have an analysis as well, and that's to the side. But anyways, the project as proposed complies with the applicable local coastal plan and zoning designation of rural residential. The proposed project is not in a highly scenic area, and the project development also meets front, side, and rear setbacks and building height requirements. A biological scoping report and a wetland delineation was prepared by Wind Coastal Planning. Several environmentally sensitive habitat areas were identified on the subject parcel, including the Harlequin Lotus and California Oatgrass Meadow on the western portion of the property. The proposed development would be situated greater than 100 feet from the environmentally sensitive habitat areas, and all avoidant and mitigation measures from the biological scoping report have been incorporated into the conditions of approval. The project was referred to applicable public agencies, and some noteworthy responses were from the Coastal Commission, California Department of Fish and Wildlife, the North Coast Regional Water Quality Control Board, and also the Archaeological Commission as well. So the Coastal Commission questioned why there are 2 California oatgrass meadow patches on the property, and only one is considered an environmentally sensitive and the other one is not. The Coastal Commission also recommended the county add a condition of approval to install symbolic fencing along the outer border of the 100-foot buffer, and to consider imposing conditions to protect the California oatgrass meadow that is not considered environmentally sensitive. In addition, the California Department of Fish and Wildlife recommended that the eastern patch of the California oatgrass meadow be considered an environmentally sensitive habitat area, and to install low symbolic fencing along the driveway and also which is immediately adjacent to the oatgrass meadow patch that they speak of, and to install symbolic fencing along the 100-foot buffer of the western patch of the California oatgrass meadow. Fish and Wildlife also recommends targeting invasive species for removal property-wide, and to have the county include all mitigation measures from the biological scoping report. The Regional Water Quality Control Board commented on the wetland delineation and stated that they concur with the biologist's findings and best professional judgment, that the sites observed during the wetland delineation do not qualify as Regional Water Board defined jurisdictional wetlands. And so the project was also heard by the Archaeological Commission, in which they requested that tribal monitoring be required for ground disturbing activities. And all of these recommendations and requirements have been included on the conditions of approval. And then 2 public comments were received for this project. One of the comments was in full support of the project. The other comment was from the neighboring parcel to the north, requesting that the coastal permit administrator continue this item for a date uncertain. And the public comment also had concerns regarding the location of the proposed single-family residence, as it may be situated within a wetland. And they are essentially requesting a new study to be done, is what my impression of this comment was. They had concerns regarding that the proposed single-family residence will significantly decrease the value of their property, and it will obstruct their ocean view. They would also like to know the distance between the proposed septic system and well situated on the north side of their property, or of the proposed single-family residence. They have concerns that the well may be too close to their septic leach field, and they don't want contamination. And also one other one was the owners of, their parcel has a deeded right-of-way over a 40-foot wide strip of land, which does, so they possesses a deeded right-of-way over a 40-foot wide strip of land, which is technically on Church School Lane, which lies to the south of parcel, of their parcel, which is basically the parcel to the north of them, of the subject parcel, sorry. And they want to be assured that this right-of-way is not compromised by any new development. And the rest is just having concerns and asking for a continuation. Sorry, that was a mouthful. And that concludes my staff report. But yes.
Okay, well, thank you.
Yes.
Do we have a representative of the application online? I see Amy Wynn has raised her hand, and go ahead with your comments, Amy.
Thank you, CPA Krog and Planner Miller. Really nicely done, Shelby. We appreciate the work that you've done on this project. As you know, I'm Amy Wynn with Wynn Coastal Planning and Biology. As you know, Wynn Coastal Planning and Biology has been the biological consultants on this project, and as the as the principal of the company, I've been aware of this project since the very beginning, and so Susan has asked that I work with her in these last few weeks as we get to hearings. So Shelby, thank you so much for the in-depth agency consultation on this property and working through all of those issues. We've been a part of it. We're really grateful to have seen that response from the Water Board as well as Fish and Wildlife, specifically about that sort of extra level wetland delineation. And I especially liked the amount of detail that Asa went into, showing all the photos of all the grains. So geek out session on that wetland delineation. So I think that has been fully vetted. We appreciate the neighbors' comments. Very much appreciate the neighbors' support, and then to the neighbor that has concerns and wishes to have this item continued. We don't believe that there is any need to have this item continued, as this project has been thoroughly vetted by all of the agencies, as you noted in your rundown. The septic design has been accepted by environmental health. It's clearly stated in the site evaluation report that the leach fields are more than 100 feet, that meet the 100-foot minimum distance to neighboring wells. That's been accepted by environmental health. The development that's within that easement is a driveway, so that will not affect anybody's ability that has the right to be on that easement, and will not change their ability. There will be that symbolic fencing to protect the oak grass, but that still allows people to pass through, so that doesn't change. And then with regards to the neighbor's request to have Ms. Hearn's house shifted to the east, as we know, the biological resources have been thoroughly evaluated on this property. It's definitely not the conclusions that the applicant wanted to see. The applicant would like to have seen fewer resources on the property. So this is not something that she was pushing for, but the house is fine where it is and does not need to be moved beyond, it does not need to be moved further east. It's already more than 100 feet from the Ishas. And also, I think it's ironic that the northerly neighbor wants to have Ms. Hearn's house moved to the east. Basically, if you look at the map, it's just enough to get it outside of their view. So I don't think there's any need to protect a private view with this project. But so we are ready to move forward to a decision today. What I do want to also point out is that we are very grateful, Shelby, for your memo, the substantial conformance memo. I feel like we will see this kind of request from some other people as they are learning that the cost to build is sort of skyrocketed in the last couple of years. So the request that you've noted in the memo is to, I'd like to recommend a little tweaking of the language just to be a little bit clear, because when I was reading the memo this morning, it says Stanton Coastal Development permit to convert an existing 340 square foot residence to a guest cottage and construct a smaller single family residence. So my first, morning brain read that as smaller than the 347 square foot house. That's pretty little. So I know that nobody logically would interpret it that way, but I'm wondering if perhaps we could strike the word smaller and then simply say single family residence, 2,646 square feet or smaller. And I think it's basically the same thing, because, if Ms. Hearn wins the lottery, then she'd be super stoked to be able to build the house that she's spent this time designing and that's ready to get approved today. But where the writing is on the wall for budget is for a house that's smaller. So we'd like to be able to build what everybody's reviewed and supports, but if we don't have the budget for that, want to be able to build it smaller in that same footprint. So we're recommending striking smaller in front of single family residence. And after that saying 2646 square feet or smaller, if you support that. And we are, and Ms. Hearn is here for any questions. And if you guys have more questions, we are available. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Amy. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the public hearing. And if there's any members of the public who wish to speak on this item, please indicate so by using the raise hand feature. And looking, and I see no hands being raised. So I will go ahead and close the public comment portion and bring it back to the Coastal Permit Administrator. So I have just a couple items. So one thing is on the substantial conformance request. Often before I would sign something agreeing that it's in substantial conformance, I would typically want to see a revised set of plans to demonstrate that it's in conformance with the prior approval. So while I think that the description of, building a smaller house within that footprint, I think that very reasonably can be a substantial conformance determination made. But I don't know that we have quite the information in front of myself today to be able to sign that memo without seeing, like a revised set of plans, at which point we would then prepare a memo speaking directly to the revised design and saying how it's substantially in conformance. But I don't have immediate concerns about a property owner building a smaller house within the same footprint of what was approved as a larger structure. And then the one other change that I want to make to the conditions is under condition 29H, and this is regarding the deed restriction.
Okay.
And I just want to add a little bit of language at the very last one, which is about guest cottages.
Okay.
And I just want to add at the very end saying, unless permits are obtained to allow the guest cottage to be converted to an accessory dwelling unit in the future. And that's primarily because, say, if the property owner decides that they wish to convert the guest cottage to an accessory dwelling unit, this condition would actually prevent them from being able to do that unless the deed restriction was revised. So, so I'll be adding that to condition 29H. And so then I just want to look to the agent. Do you have any concerns with either of those two items?
For the guest cottages, I'm very grateful for that catch. I will make a note to catch that for other staff reports as well. So thank you for that. And I'm wondering if for the memo, would it be possible to revise the language of the memo to not just have it be like a blanket, no, it's good if it's smaller, but rather to have it be, any site plan that comes along be reviewed by the CPA, but not at a hearing?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, that's how
perfect.
we typically handle it. Is it's more of an administrative review.
Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Sounds great. No issues. Thank you very much.
Okay, great. Well then, seeing that we had no comments, anything from you, Shelby?
No.
Okay.
I think we covered it all.
Okay.
Thank you.
So then with that, I will approve the project subject to the findings in the staff report and the amended conditions as described today, just that simple amendment to 29H. And with that, the project is approved.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, and moving on to our third case on the agenda. This is case CDPM 2024-0002, and it looks like we need to bring over our staff planner to a panelist. I'm just going to give a moment for her to be able to connect. Excellent. So this is CDPM 2024-0002 for the owner applicant agent Thomas Paradise. And our staff planner is Jesse Waldman. May I have your presentation, please?
Good morning, CPA Krog, and thank you. I'm Planner Waldman, Jesse Waldman for Mendocino County Planning and Building Services. And today we are bringing to you the Coastal Development Permit CDP. It's an amendment to a Coastal Development Permit. The project number is CDPM 2024-0002. And this request is to amend a previously approved Coastal Development Permit, CDP 2016-0046, where the amendment is the request proposes to drill 3 test wells to ensure the result of 1 production well with a 7-foot tall, 50 square foot pump house on a vacant parcel to provide proof of adequate water for the development approved under the original aforementioned CDP. The site is located within North Casper. The street address, I'm going to bring that up for you. Site is located within the coastal zone. It is about 5 miles south of the heart of Fort Bragg and about half a mile west of the village of Casper. The parcel is located on the southeast corner of the intersection of Pacifica Drive and Seadrift Avenue, and it is approximately 0.3 miles west of the intersection of Pacifica Drive and Casper Road. It's located at 45465 Pacifica Drive in Casper. The assessor's parcel number is 118-04010-00. The parcel is approximately 2 acres in size. It is zoned rural residential with a 5-acre minimum with an alternate density of 2-acre minimums with proof of water. And let's see, it is appealable. It's west of the first public road and it is considered highly scenic. And it also, the proposed development is mapped within 100 feet of ESHA. Just going to take a moment just to talk about the original coastal development permit. The original coastal development permit was approved by the CPA on April 30th of 2020, and that coastal development permit approved the construction of a single-family residence, detached accessory structures, including a garage, a workshop, a greenhouse, and a guest cottage. Also associated improvements with that CDP included decking with solar systems, a hot tub within the exterior decking of the single family residence, a permeable driveway, and associated utilities, including the construction of a septic system, propane tanks, a well, pump house, as well as major vegetation removal. The owners have applied for well permits per that original coastal development permit, and they were not able to provide proof of adequate water supply to support the approved development under that original CDP. And so today we're here really to find new well locations with the main goal for proof of water. And throughout the review of this request, staff received comments from the California Coastal Commission, the California Department of Fish and Wildlife Services, as well as Mendocino County Department of Transportation, with key issues involving environmentally sensitive habitat areas, also known as ESHA. Also comments regarding vegetation removal that occurred as allowed under the original coastal development permit, and then also the temporary access to gain access onto the parcel for the well drillers, rigs, I guess, well drilling apparatuses, rigs, to access the parcel. So these comments from Coastal Commission, CDFW, and DOT, they are valid and important comments, and they are key issues that we are going to talk about just in a couple minutes here. The main key issues with these 3 agencies is, should the parcel not obtain proof of adequate water to be able to support the approved development under the original coastal development permit, and what will be the ways to help this site if that proof of water is not established? So staff has prepared in the staff report in front of you today a revised list of the recommended final findings and conditions of approval to address the restoration of the parcel, whether it is developed or whether it is to be left as a vacant parcel. The conditions are highlighted. The additional conditions are highlighted in red and underlined within the staff report, and they are conditions 18 through 21, and as well as any revisions or notes to the final findings, because some of the conditions in the original CDP have already been satisfied. And these modified recommendations are to ensure that no significant adverse environmental impacts will result from this project, whether the parcel is developed, whether the parcel can provide proof of water and is developed, or that if the parcel be fully restored, should proof of adequate water not be found. An amendment to the previously adopted mitigated negative declaration has been prepared and is also included within the staff report. And staff finds that the environmental impacts identified for the proposed project can be adequately mitigated through the amended conditions of approval and the final findings or features of the project design, so that no significant adverse environmental impacts will result from this project. Therefore, a mitigated neg deck has already been adopted for this project. The project is appealable at both the local and state levels. Staff has not received any public comment regarding this project, nor any further agency comments since the notice was properly noticed. And staff is recommending this request to modify the original CDP with the recommendations and the revisions of the final findings and conditions of approval. And I do believe that the owner, Mr. Paradise, is present in the virtual chat, and I am available for any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Jessie, for that good presentation. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to the applicant or agent, and I see it looks like we have a couple folks in our attendees area, and we'll go ahead and bring you in. So we have Fiona, and please go ahead with your comments.
Hi there. It's just on my sorry.
Sounds like we're getting a little feedback there.
Is it? Are you hearing the echo, or is it just us?
We hear the echo.
Okay, let's switch it out.
Turn that off.
Technology is
that
always
better?
a challenge. Oh, that's much better. Go ahead.
Okay, great. We have too much tech. So, this is all so new to us. So the first step is for us to get approval for the water for the drilling. And then after the drilling finds water, if we find water, then we move forward with your recommendations, Jessie. We're trying to figure out that we need to find water first before we can move forward anyway, right? So that's the first step that we need.
So how the project is written and conditioned is that you would be first drilling one of these 3 test well drill sites. When you have found water, you'll perform what's called a proof of water test. And you would provide that to the department, demonstrating you have adequate water to support the development that was previously approved. And please, Planner Waldman, add any additional information.
Great questions. And there was a lot of discussion with the Department of Transportation. And I bring this up because the Department of Transportation, when they received this amendment, this modification request, their first original comments were that a permanent residential driveway be established prior to any additional well drilling. And that was in confliction with the Coastal Commission's guidelines. Should proof of water not be obtained, right, then we have a permanent driveway. So one of the conditions, and I'm going to pull that up right now to verify if it's condition 18, states that prior to issuance of the new well permit that you have on file with us for these 3 new well sites, you need to obtain something called a temporary encroachment permit. So this means that you need to obtain a temporary encroachment permit with the Department of Transportation prior to issuance of those well permits. And this will allow the well drilling company to safely enter and exit your parcel with a temporary driveway. And then if proof of water is established, then you can build your permanent driveway with the Department of Transportation. But if you cannot provide proof of adequate water, you won't have a permanent residential driveway built on a vacant parcel until we find another alternative. So I haven't pulled it up yet, and I believe
it's condition 21.
So this is making sense to us then.
Thank you.
So no, it's okay, Jen. So we have to get the temporary encroachment first.
Yes.
And when that is approved temporarily, then we get the approval to drill the well, right? And then if we find water, then we move forward with the recommendations for revegetation. If we don't find water, then we go back to everyone for alternative paths.
I will say yes, with the clarification regarding coming back. If you choose to come back with another amendment, we will address that when that application comes in. If you chose to not come back with a new recommendation during the active issuance of this coastal development amendment permit, there is another condition that is from from CDFW that says, if for some reason proof of water is not adequately established and no further development occurs, there needs to be a restoration and a mitigation plan for reestablishing ESHA, working on the wood chips, and that is specifically in condition 18.
Yeah.
And that is to help reestablish. Now, when I was on site, I will add that when I was on site, there were new pine trees popping up in areas on the site. There was both local native species popping up with the CDFW's observations, as well as some invasive plants. And so their comments that are really spelled out in the condition 18 are really clear about whether you are going to be developing or whether you are not developing. So the goal, to summarize, because I talk a lot, is a temporary encroachment permit with Department of Transportation, then get the well permit for the 3 proposed well sites, with all good intentions, get proof of water, and then go with the restoration plan with development plan as stated in condition 18. And then if worst case scenario is there's no proof of water, then you want to work on a mitigation, restoration, landscaping plan for if you were to leave the parcel vacant.
Okay, that makes total sense to us.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah.
That makes total sense. So encroachment plan that's temporary, then when that's approved, then we go for water approval, drilling, and then if water is found, then we can either move forward and build the house, and or if water is not found, then we have to restore the land to a native state. I mean, we're all in favor of going back to native species, and that's not weird to us at all. So we're happy about that. Okay. Is that correct? Does that sound good, Jesse? And Julia knows this property from way long ago. Oh my God. She's grinning. So Is that good, Jesse? Does that make sense? From our perspective?
I think that what you are stating is that you have a clear understanding of the conditions of approval that are revised in this project. So yes.
Okay.
Good.
That's great. Okay. No, this is good. We just want to make sure we understand it from our end before we go forward. So thank
Okay,
you. And then
good.
Jesse, we'll just drop you a note about how do we go about getting the encroachment, the temporary encroachment, or how do we contact the Department of Transportation?
Absolutely. Since there was some questions about the recommended conditions of approval, I would like to take this opportunity to answer the question about how to obtain a temporary encroachment permit. And also I would like to clarify, there is a condition number 22 that does require action of a recordation of the notice of determination. That is part of securing your coastal development requirements. That's a $50 fee.
Oh, yeah,
for
okay.
recording.
Yeah, we saw that.
You've already done the full complete adoption notice of determination in the previous CDP, but we have to re-record it.
Okay.
That's okay.
Okay, that's fine.
So I look forward to that coming in the next
Okay.
21-ish days.
Yeah.
Now regarding applying for encroachment or any type of permit for with the Mendocino County Department of Transportation, is that they do have forms, guidelines, and requirements at that department with Mendocino County Department of Transportation. I believe their forms are available on our mendocinocounty.gov website. And then if you would like to just send me an email with any other questions,
Okay.
I won't be able to tell you what Department of Transportation requirements are, but I can tell you that you will want to work with their department specifically.
Excellent. It's clear. It makes sense.
Anything else from the applicants this time?
Nope.
All right, hearing none. Then I'll go ahead and open up the public hearing and see if we have any members of the public on Zoom who wish to provide comment on this item, and you can do so by using the raise hand feature. And I am seeing no hands being raised, so I will go ahead and close the public hearing and bring it back to the Coastal Permit Administrator. So thank you, staff, I appreciated the red lines in the staff report so we could see the original conditions and then those as modified with your notes as well. And I have no concerns with the recommendations from staff, so I will approve the project subject to the findings and conditions contained within the staff report. And I wish the applicants the best of luck in finding water and hope you are successful.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you, Julia.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jesse. We'll
Thank
drop you a
you.
note.
Thank you. All right.
Okay, so that concludes our regular calendar. So now I'll look, are there any matters from staff today? And I see head shaking no. And are there any matters from the public? The Coastal Permit Administrator welcomes participation in meetings. This item is limited to matters under the jurisdiction of the Coastal Permit Administrator, which are not on the posted agenda, and items which have not already been considered by the Coastal Permit Administrator. No action will be taken. Do we have any members of the public wishing to speak under matters from the public? You can indicate so by using the raise hand. I see no hands being raised. So with that, I will adjourn the meeting at 11:49 a.m. Thank you all for being here. Happy holidays.
All right.
Oh, look at, I did all my action sheets. So I'm going to
Thank
keep
you.
the packet for 12:18.
Perfect. And
So
then
you
we
do
just
not need
won't
to
give
print
you
a new one. And then